Good evening runners, and welcome back to another video from me, That Running Girl. In today's video, I'm going to be discussing the difference between motivation and discipline, something that I feel runners of all levels can relate to and often get confused about, and something that I've definitely been confused about in the past. I just thought I would make this video so that I can help other people on their running journeys not feel bad when they hit a bit of a low of motivation. And when I'm on Instagram following people, that I've known in the running scene for a long time, or even, new runners, and I see people saying, they've lost their mojo, they've lost motivation, how can they get it back? I feel like it's something that really needs to be discussed. So firstly, motivation personally in running to me is just wrapped up in your why. So it's literally why you are doing it. For some people, the obvious incentive would be a race. So why are you going out training? Because you've got a 10K coming up, you've got a half marathon coming up, you've got a marathon coming up. So you'll want to go out and do those training runs and hit those distances and paces and those effort levels for what you want to achieve in your race. And even if it's not a race time, it could be as simple as, you want to get fitter and stronger, or you want to just get outside more, or, you want to develop more confidence in work or relationships, which is something that running helps, in so many different aspects with. So whatever it is, your motivation is ultimately your why. But it's worth remembering that motivation isn't a magic bullet. So I feel like sometimes when people, get into running and they have this sudden surge, they have this instant desire to just do as many races as they can in as little time as possible. And when you're new to running, obviously you're instantly getting PBs because you haven't done those distances before. And then, when you're then training smarter and more efficiently, you're then beating those PBs in quite fast succession. So you might beat your 10K, 5K PB in, a year's time or 2 years time, which is relatively quickly if you're going to be running your whole life. But when that motivation dwindles and those, when your results and performances plateau, which they will, at a certain point, then you might find that you're lacking in motivation, which is where discipline comes in. So for me, and if you look this up statistically, discipline is seen as more of something that is conditioned into you in a hardwired kind of way through a habitual routine. So it comes in the form of when you create habits and you create routines and you get that consistent schedule of training going, then discipline, you start to naturally build discipline for the sport that you're doing. So each time you're going out every day, whether you're running 3 miles, 4 miles, you're running 5K on the treadmill, whatever you're doing, you are creating that discipline. And through those routines and through those habits, that discipline sticks. And it means that, whether you're having the best day ever and, the weather's great and everything's going great in your life and all situations and circumstances are aligned together and everything's just completely great, you're getting it done. But it also means when the other side of that happens, so when conditions are bad and other areas of your life aren't aligned and going well, and you're not hitting the times that you want to hit in training and racing, then you're still disciplined to go out and get the workout done. I personally like to think about it as I do a lot of things in running. So the way that I think about running is not just performance on the day or kind of current performance in the next few weeks or the last few months or your last race. It's thinking about how you want to build discipline for the long run. So it's almost taking motivation out of the equation, because when you have run for nearly 20 years like I have done, the reality is that you're not going to be motivated every single day to get out and run. You're just not going to be, because you're a human being. And as much as I, get inspired by things I see on Instagram, on YouTube about, loving the grind and everything's about, pushing so hard and pushing beyond your comfort zone and just, absolutely just beast mode all the time, there has to be a point that comes where your body and your mind just are a bit bored of it, because when you've done it for 20 years you can't trick your body into being like, I'm going to go beast mode every single day. You just can't do it. So that's where the discipline in the long run, you know, the long run being a metaphor for how long you are running. You know, personally, I want to be running until the day I die. My running is my journey for life and my metaphor for just trying hard with, you know, life and being kind to yourself and balance and acceptance. It all goes hand in hand for me. So it's not like I expect to have the motivation to go out and run really hard or do, you know, X amount of miles per day. As long as I have the discipline and the consistencies to still get out there and run, I personally think discipline is a more sustainable form of being accountable for yourself to get out there running every day, if that's what you want to do, than to be looking for that magic bullet of motivation all the time. Because often as well, when you're looking for motivation, it can really zap your it's almost like they don't work together, motivation and discipline at times, because when you're looking for motivation, you're almost looking for something that sometimes doesn't exist. So, you know, you might be looking to a friend to go out running with, you know, they're my motivation, but what happens when they cancel on you one day and then, you know, you don't have any motivation? Or maybe you're looking to, you know, listen to music or a podcast when you're running, and that could be your motivation, but what happens when the batteries run out, or, you know, you're not allowed to listen to music in a race, which you're not allowed to in a lot of UK athletics races. So then what happens then? You know, you're still going to want to run, but that motivation, your why, isn't there anymore. So it's using the consistency and the habitual, you know, routine focus of just getting out there daily, being accountable to yourself, knowing when to be hard to yourself, but when to be kinder and more balanced to yourself is just absolutely key for me in the long run. And I personally also, since I got into running, I find it's really helpful to set realistic goals for yourself in terms of the volume of events you're going to do per year. So for the last 20 or so years, you know, 15 years competitive running, I've pretty much done 2 marathons a year every year. In the spring and in the autumn, I almost see it as a kind of health and running MOT. And then I will scatter in like a few 10Ks, half marathons and 5-mile events in between that. So just having almost like a baseline plan of the kind of schedule that you're setting yourself and the events that you want to do. If you're, you know, 100% committed to wanting to do running, road race racing in the next year, and you know, whether you're injured, obviously those goals are going to adapt slightly. But it's having that discipline when you're not motivated to race and you're not motivated to train. It's knowing that you've still got that belief in the tank and in the back of your mind to know that just because your motivation isn't there, it doesn't mean that your discipline can't be there as well, because you've almost built up the discipline the same way that you would build up, like, you know, a marathon training run over the years. You know, when you first start out running, like I say, it's a lot easier to have motivation and a lot easier to get out there and you know, just feel amazing every single run and hit all the times you want to hit, because it's also new and it's also fresh. But yeah, as the years go on, building up that discipline like you would build up the training log for a marathon or an ultra marathon is something that I have found really helpful and something that helps me stay committed and passionate about running. So I hope this has helped you. Let me know what you think the difference between motivation and discipline is in the comments below, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.